Hey, what is going on everybody, and welcome to Fantasia. For today, we're going to be jumping into another session of Epic 7 out today. Got another tier list for you guys. That's right, this time around we're going to be covering the custom group banner and the limited artifacts that you can get from it. If you want to check out the video where we cover all the limited units, do check out the video that we posted prior to this one after finishing this video here. Now, the reason why we're covering just the limited units is because if you go to your summon page and go to your Covenant summons, you can set a wish list of 7 units and 7 artifacts in the normal summoning pool that you can summon for over time with your free daily pulls and with their temporary bookmarks, the special currency that you can get just from playing the game and getting special events, right? So that's the reason why we're only covering the limited units and artifacts. It's because, well, they're limited, and if you miss out here, you're gonna have to wait several months in order to get the chance to summon on them again. So with that being said, they are running an additional event alongside of this called the Bonus Twin Librarians Bookmark Payback event. Now, if you don't know what this is, it's where essentially they give you a little rebate on summoning, right? Every time you use 20 Covenant bookmarks, you'll obtain 5 Twin Librarian bookmarks on top of it. So it's a 25% more summons for your pulls, right? And that's really cool. It allows you to get more units, more copies, more imprints, more artifacts until you are satisfied, right? So definitely a great event, and I'm happy that they're running this alongside of the summons, right? The banner. So now that you guys have all that basic information, let's go ahead and take a look at our tier list. It's going to start off with some unavailable artifacts like Cure All Magic Wand, the equivalent of Guardian Ice Crystals, MOAS, the equivalent of Rocket Punch Gauntlet, Strike of Aspiration, the equivalent of Benimaru's Tachi, right, and Master of the Nightmare, which is a unique artifact that Smilegate had released for a limited run. These are not attached to any specific characters, and they were for specific class banners that were run, so I don't think they're going to be available for this summoning event, right? And we also have artifacts that are attached to units that were released after June 30th of 2025. So Queen's Whistle, right? Aram's artifact, Summer Photogenic, Summer Hwayoung's artifact, Lethal Whispers, which is Setsuka's artifact, Awakened Leaf, which is Saria's artifact, Glorious Flag, Swift Flag Bearer Sigrid's artifact, Tome of Life's End, which is Hakadi's artifact, and Ritual of Sealing Flames, which is Aki's artifact. All of these are going to be unavailable because they were released within the last 6 or so months, and so therefore, you know, you have to stick with everything else here. For the rest of our categories, I've actually condensed them into just staples, which are things that you really want on your account that are going to be useful all the time. Versatile, which are artifacts that are kind of usually useful on a plethora of units, right? Not necessarily needs to be on a specific one. Niche artifacts, which are going to be used on 1 or 2 specific units and pretty much has no use outside of those units. They're pretty much custom made for them. And then we have the D tier, which is subpar, which means I really wouldn't go out of your way to spend bookmarks on these artifacts, right? There's a chance that they will get buffed in the future, but as of right now, there's no guarantee of it, right? So, yeah, this is definitely something that I would prioritize a little bit less over the units. If you're lacking some units, definitely go for them because they carry some really powerful effects that can help your teams. But if you're kind of set on units, then going for artifacts is definitely the way to go to help expand your roster and kind of push units into viability. And we're going to start off with the S tier with Guiding Light. This artifact allows your units to stay in stealth, right, throughout the match with a chance to refresh it as the match goes on. Starting the match with stealth is huge. By the way, this is Cerise's artifact, so she isn't the best unit to be pulling. However, getting copies of Guiding Light is pretty worth it if you don't have any copies of it already. So that's why it's going to go in here in the staples tier, even though Cerise herself is a very niche pick. Next up, we have Sweet Miracle. This is a really strong artifact where you allow yourself to gain extra HP, right, at the for the duration of the match, which is wonderful. But not only that, you get to cleanse yourself from debuffs, reduce the duration of debuffs on yourself for 1 turn, guaranteed 100% if you max this thing out, and it allows you to do this every 3 turns. This is really strong because sleeps and stuns typically last for 1 turn, so if your opponent opponent opens with stuff and stuns or sleeps you, you'll be able to cleanse that 100% of the time, and if you run this on another cleanser, for example Laia, because this is her artifact, you'll be able to cleanse the rest of your team as well. So it's a really powerful artifact. People use it on things like Payback as well. She has the ability to cleanse the team of debuffs, and she is a warrior too, and the extra HP helps her stay alive longer, right? So it's pretty nice. And I definitely recommend pulling this, especially if you don't have one, just to have a copy laying around. Next up is going to be Soul Consolation. This is Ocean Breeze Luluka's artifact, and even though she is quite a niche pick herself in my unit tier list, Soul Consolation here is a very strong staple for any Soul Weaver that wants to be able to cut your opponent, right? So Soul Consolation, if your opponent uses a non-attack skill, you get to push up your combat readiness, and on top of that you gain like 30% effect resistance, so there's just a bunch of free stats all packaged into one nice artifact, which is really powerful. And last but not least, we have Spotted Mouse Hair Time. Putting this in the staples category, you only really need like a copy of this, and don't really necessarily think you go out of your way to get one, because it's a lower priority than others. The tier list here is just showing you guys what accounts should have in preparation for certain matchups and things, but I think this is a staple because it gives you a bunch of souls, and if you're playing aggressively, then souls to soul burn can actually make a pretty big difference. You can also use this in many different ways on things like Infinite Horizon Hades even, where she gets to push up a unit, you gain souls from using your non-attack skill, and then you just get to blast your opponent, right? Even in a slower team where you're pushing up some tankier, bulkier units, like let's say Bellion, for example. Yeah, this provides a lot of utility, and I think having one is very nice. It also helps in some PvE content as well, where soul burns are kind of required to clear some content faster. Yeah. Next up, we have the versatile category. So we're putting in Draco Plate. This is a really strong artifact, especially for warriors, just giving you extra crit damage. Now, the trade-off is you have to summon for Luna to get this, and Luna is not really the best unit to grab for anything, but maybe except for imprinting like your New Moon Luna. So if you want to grab copies for New Moon Luna imprints and grab Draco Plates along the way, it's not terrible. But yeah, there are some better warrior artifacts out there. Warrior artifacts are quite saturated, but Draco Plate overall is quite versatile in terms of giving your team some more damage. Next up, we have Fairy Tale for a Nightmare. This is a very good mage artifact. You have to summon for Fairy Tale Tenebria to get this, and it makes it a little bit iffy, because again, Fairy Tale Tenebria, a very niche unit, but Fairy Tale for a Nightmare is such a strong artifact. It gives you fixed damage, which we know is very powerful right now in the meta. It also allows you to strip buffs from your opponent as well, so it's pretty strong there as well, right? So yeah, Fairy Tale for a Nightmare definitely deserves a spot in the versatile category. It can be used with a variety of different mages that have AoE attacks. Next up, we have Magic Bubble Maker. So this is Festive Ida's artifact, and she is already a pretty strong unit. This is actually really good on her as well, but other mages can also use this pretty nicely because it carries a bunch of strong debuffs on it. It's not 100% guaranteed that you're going to land this, but with units that are constantly attacking your opponent and applying extra hits or AoE hits, it's going to be pretty nice, and you'll more than likely than not be landing some of these debilitating effects on your opponent. Next up, we have Mature Sunglasses. This is a knight artifact for damage, which is something that's a bit more rare, but there are knights that want to deal damage. It gives you extra damage overall and reduces the damage that you take, right? So using it on PvE units is also okay. Would you go out of the way to summon this with Summer Break Charlotte? I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but it is quite a versatile artifact that you can find units to use. It's just not optimal in a lot of cases, right? And next we have Unfading Memories. This is a Soul Weaver artifact for DN. I think she's an okay unit to be summoning for, right? She has a counter pick utility against some units, especially things like Genesis Ra's or any other defense penetration unit in the game right now. But Unfading Memories does give you the ability to heal, right? Every time you take a turn, which is not bad at all. And it also gives you effect resistance too for the entire team. So it's pretty solid. Alright, next up we do have Prayer of Solitude. Now, this is the last artifact that's going to be in the versatile category. This one increases your max HP, which is wonderful, but it also allows you to deal extra damage when you attack, and extra damage on top of that when you have an extra attack. It is actually pretty versatile because there are quite a few units, like ML Aria, for example, Alencia, that can potentially be using this for the extra damage, right? And the fact that you get extra HP from it too is also really nice. Allows you to use it on more than just those 2 units, right? A lot of warriors would like the extra boost that it gives. Alright, next up we're going to go into the niche category. Now, niche doesn't mean that it's bad, right? For example, Discreet Hands is an artifact that pretty much only Rinnock is utilizing currently. Not to say that other units cannot, but right now it's optimal on Rinnock, and so even though it's niche, Rinnock is one of the high priority units that you should be summoning, so this is something that you definitely want to get your hands on if you didn't get one from before and you got a copy of Rinnock, right? You missed out on Discreet Hands. Super strong on her, makes her super annoying to fight because she goes into stealth and she stuns herself too. So this allows her to hide herself essentially on demand whenever you need to. And it's really hard for your opponent if they don't have AoE attacks to deal with her before she turn cycles back into another turn and starts going in onto your team again. And the next off we have Dreamlike Holiday, also very niche, pretty much only used on Afternoon Soak Flawn at the moment, but it is one of her best in slot artifacts. I know some people have been switching over to Bloodstone, right, for more tankier teams for healing, right, and all that good stuff, but Dreamlike Holiday, definitely very powerful to be using on Afternoon Soak Flawn, and highly recommend you have this if you want to get her, right? Luckily, you can put them together, summon for them together all at once. Same with Rinnock and Discreet Hands, especially if you're a newer player. Next up is Proof of Friendship, Young Senya's artifact, also very niche, pretty much only used on her, increases her HP and the HP of the unit in the front line, and also allows them to deal extra damage when they land a critical hit, so pretty solid overall, I'd say, but again, mostly just used on Young Senya. The good thing is Young Senya is a pretty strong unit overall, so all 3 of these artifacts, even though they're in the niche category, they're pretty solid because the units that they come with are also really good. Next up is Rengar's Special Drink, pretty much only used on Seaside Bellona. I've seen people use it with Yuna and some other rangers as well here and there sometimes, but pretty much like a Spear of a New Dawn or a 3F or a Rocket Punch Gauntlet, but for rangers, right? And it's not bad. Seaside Bellona is pretty decent here in the current meta, but it is quite niche. If you do need Seaside Bellona for PvE content as well, you can go ahead and grab her and get Rengar's Special Drink too. It's a pretty good addition to your artifact collection. Next up is Fan of Light and Dark. The only unit that really uses this is Ahmed, so I would say that, you know, it's okay to have here, but yeah, you don't necessarily need it on Ahmed though. There are other artifacts you can potentially run on her if you want to be a bit more supportive with other roles such as healing or cleansing, but this is really good and probably best in slot for her for just going for offensive teams because it does give a crit damage buff, right? And it is quite nice for dealing that extra little bit of damage for cleave and aggro teams. Next up is Wall of Order. This is Landy's artifact. Landy is a counter pick unit, right? Kind of in the same category as DN that I put in the tier list. This is really only usable on her. Sometimes people use this on other units like Wanda, for example, but those are really niche situations where you really aren't playing high-level PvP with it. You can do some cool things with it though, with faster units, because this is, unlike Guiding Light, you have a 100% chance to gain stealth again if this is maxed out. The only issue with this is that you don't start the match with stealth, right? So you do want someone that can push up your Landy or push up whoever is using this in order to guarantee that they get stealth every single turn. Next up we have Seductive Flower. This is pretty much only used on Blooming Litica, so again, it's like a unique artifact just for her. Other units can use it, but no one really does because there's better things out there. But for Blooming Litica, this is a really powerful artifact that allows you to push back your opponent's team, and yeah, it just gives her a good amount of effectiveness as well to do her job. Star of the Deep Sea. This is usable on Summertime Assyria, or if you're a Pirate Captain Flan fan, this is pretty much mandatory for Pirate Captain Flan to work, right? So Star of the Deep Sea is definitely a very good choice here to supplement those 2 units, but outside of those 2 units, pretty much nobody else uses this thing. So it's in the niche category here, but definitely good for Summertime Assyria if you summon her with the artifact together. And next up is Hostess of the Banquet. This thing is niche because it gives effect res, but it also gives more damage. This is pretty much only used on Midnight God Lilius or BBK, right? Bloodblade Corinne actually does like using this artifact if you're going for a 0 speed, high resist build. Yeah, pretty solid overall. Next up is Champion's Trophy. This is going to be in the Subpar category. It allows you to potentially stun if you're using a basic attack. It's on a warrior though, and not many warriors have AoE basic attacks that you're going to use frequently enough that you're going to get stuns off of it. It does give you a lot of effectiveness as well. The only one I can think of is Bad Cat Armin, but she is definitely far from meta, and definitely not really worth going out of your way to grab this with a Holiday Euphine, especially because Holiday Euphine's usage has dropped ever since Firelitica has kind of fallen out of the meta, right? But that's her artifact there. Next is Bibulus' artifact, the old gardening shears. Pretty much don't summon for Bibulus, right? She might have a use when the new Monarch of the Sword of Syria comes out, but even then, Mort is just a better option. The gold gardening shears are okay, but it's not even necessary for Bibulus herself. You can run other things on her as well. This is a good debuffing artifact, though, but pretty much only used on Bibulus. I don't see anybody else using this at all. And the last one is Tori's artifact, the Feat of Criticism. So even though Tori has some applications, she's technically pretty versatile as a unit. Feat of Criticism is just not the greatest thing ever. You'd much rather run things like Wind Rider and stuff on Tori anyway, so definitely don't go out of your way to summon any of these 3 artifacts here. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be it, guys, for the limited artifacts. These are definitely, if you have all the limited units and you're trying to get extra copies of things, the things up here in the staples are probably things that you want to get copies of. Other than that, go for the things in the versatile category, and the niche just all contains one-ofs that you might want to pick up if you're trying to build a specific unit. But with that being said, though, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.